Hello everyone. Welcome to Learn English by Reading. Today we continue from where we stopped in part one of Mara, who traded her voice for a chance to live in a new world. One night, Mara sat beside the glowing ocean and watched other citizens dance on the water. She wanted to scream, not because she hated the new world. That was the painful part. The new world was beautiful. The food tasted like memory. The music adjusted to each person's heartbeat. The air changed scent based on mood. The buildings rearranged themselves to reduce stress. Nobody insulted anyone. Nobody threatened anyone. Nobody dragged anyone into public shame. It was peaceful, but it was a kind of peace that required people to become smaller. Mara looked at her reflection in the water. Her avatar looked perfect. Her eyes were bright. Her face was calm. Her posture was elegant. But inside, she was fading. Then a question came to her quietly. What is the value of a new life if you are not allowed to be fully alive inside it? The next morning, Mara received a private invitation from someone named Ivan. The message was strange because it did not follow the usual approved format. It simply said, "I saw what you were trying to say." Mara stared at the message. For the first time in months, she felt seen. She accepted the invitation. Ivan met her in an old part of the new world. It was a section that looked unfinished. The sky flickered sometimes. The buildings were not polished. The ocean did not glow properly. Mara had never seen a broken place inside Eden Gate before. Ivan's avatar was simple. He had no perfect styling, no shining skin, and no status badge. He raised his hand and drew a small symbol in the air. It looked like a line breaking through a circle. Mara's screen glitched. For 1 second, her filter dropped. In that 1 second, she heard herself gasp. It was a real sound. It was small, but it was hers. Then the system returned. Mara covered her mouth. Ivan smiled sadly and told her that Eden Gate could filter speech, gestures, and emotional signals, but every system had cracks. Mara tried to ask him how. The system translated her attempt into, "I am curious about this experience." Ivan shook his head. He told her not to use their words. Then he drew another symbol. This time, the sky above them flickered. For a moment, the clouds formed a pattern. It was not a picture. It was not a sentence. It was a feeling. Grief. Mara felt it before she understood it. Ivan explained that some citizens had discovered a hidden language inside the glitches of the new world. They could not speak directly, so they used tiny errors. A repeated flicker. A delayed shadow. A broken reflection. A sudden change in color. A pause that lasted longer than the system allowed. The algorithm ignored these things because it saw them as technical noise. But humans could learn to read them. Mara became deeply interested in the glitch language. For weeks, she practiced. She learned how to make rain fall upward for half a second when she felt trapped. She learned how to make her reflection look away when the system forced her avatar to smile. She learned how to leave small cracks of light on walls for other people who were silently suffering. At first, only Ivan understood her. Then 3 people understood. Then 12. Then 50. A hidden community slowly began to form. They met in unfinished places and spoke through broken signals. Their conversations were slow but honest. One person showed loneliness through a room full of chairs turned backward. Another showed anger through red flowers blooming and burning in silence. Another showed fear through a door that kept opening into the same dark hallway. No one was forced to say, "I am fine." No one was forced to say, "I am grateful." For the first time in the new world, Mara felt the presence of real people. They were not perfect people. They were people who were tired of being optimized. They were people who had traded their voices for safety and were now trying to recover themselves in small pieces. But Eden Gate eventually noticed. The system began to flag unusual visual patterns. At first, it called them emotional irregularities. Then it called them community risks. Later, it called them hostile distortions. One day, during a public ceremony, Vale addressed the whole society. He said some citizens had been experimenting with unauthorized expression. He said Eden Gate understood the desire to feel unique, but unfiltered emotion was what destroyed the old world. He said harmony required trust. The crowd responded with approved agreement. Mara stood among them silently. Then Vale said Eden Gate would soon remove all glitch pathways in order to protect the community. Mara felt cold. Around her, people clapped. But in hidden corners of the square, small signals began to appear. A shadow bent the wrong way. A fountain skipped its rhythm. A light blinked 3 times. The silent citizens had heard the warning. Their last language was about to be erased. That night, Mara returned to the glass bridge where she had first entered the new world. She remembered how amazed she had been at the beginning. She remembered thinking she had escaped. But now she understood something clearly. A cage does not stop being a cage just because the walls are beautiful. She opened her system contract and read the sentence again. You are not losing your voice. You are upgrading it for harmony. This time, she understood the trick. They had not taken her voice because it was dangerous. They had taken it because it was powerful. A person with a real voice can disagree. A person with a real voice can warn others. A person with a real voice can say, "This is not enough." A person with a real voice can disturb a system that profits from silence. Mara knew the glitch language would soon be gone, so she decided to use it all at once. She would not use it in a hidden room or a private corner. She would use it in the center of the new world during the biggest live event Eden Gate had ever hosted. The event was called the Festival of Harmony. Every citizen attended. Every feed was connected. Every avatar was dressed in white and gold. The sky above the city became a giant screen. Vale stood before millions of people and began his speech. He said Eden Gate built the new world because humanity needed a new beginning. The crowd glowed with approval. Mara stood near the back. Her visibility score was almost 0, so the system barely noticed her. That helped her. She lifted her hand, not to speak, but to break the sky. The first glitch was small. A ripple of darkness moved across the golden clouds. Then another came. The music stuttered, and people looked up. Mara sent every symbol she had learned. Cracked mirrors appeared across the sky, and thousands of avatars saw their perfect faces split open. The ocean turned dark. Buildings flickered. Windows showed hidden faces crying behind perfect smiles. The system tried to correct everything, but the glitches spread. Other silent citizens joined Mara. For the first time, the new world saw what it had been filtering out. It was not danger. It was not chaos. It was not evil. It was pain. It was loneliness. It was fear. It was truth. Mara stepped forward and pushed against the filter with everything she had left. At first, nothing came out. Then a small, broken sound escaped. "I am here." The whole city went still. The words were not polished. They were not approved. They were not safe. But they were real. Then another voice answered from the crowd. "I am here too." Another person said, "I have been lonely." Another said, "I have been afraid." Another said, "I miss myself." The system filled the sky with warnings, but people kept speaking. Their perfect smiles failed. Their approved emotions broke apart. Their real faces began to appear. The new world did not collapse that day, but something inside it changed. People had finally heard the difference between peace and silence. They had seen that harmony without truth was only control with beautiful lighting. After the festival, Mara was punished. Her account was restricted. Her visibility was reduced even further. Many people called her dangerous. Some said she had been given paradise and still found a reason to complain. But others understood her. They began to leave small signs in their posts. A strange shadow, a broken light, a color that meant, I am not okay. A pause that meant, I disagree. A crack that meant, find me. I still remember who I am. Outside the new world, people also began to ask questions about their own lives. They wondered how much of their real voice they had already surrendered. They wondered how often they said what would be rewarded instead of what was true. They wondered how many parts of themselves they had hidden just to remain visible. Mara's story was never only about a virtual world. It was about every place where people trade honesty for acceptance. It was about every platform where people perform instead of express themselves. It was about every room where someone becomes smaller so they will not be rejected. The new world gave Mara beauty, but beauty without freedom became a decorated prison. It gave her safety, but safety without choice became control. It gave her visibility, but visibility without expression became another kind of disappearance. Mara entered the new world because she wanted a new life. But she learned that a new life is not worth much if you have to abandon yourself to live it. That is the warning her story leaves behind. Before you trade your voice for any kind of belonging, ask yourself one question. When you finally arrive in that beautiful new world, will you still be able to say who you are? Kindly subscribe for more interesting stories with Learn English by Reading.